I want to be able to give everyone at least a minute or two. Let me pause this until everybody's here. And I also ask that you do not record this. This is shared with you, but not your property, okay? And I just ask that you respect that. You can take, of course, notes for yourself. For your awareness and your foresight. And my intention is to be able to answer questions for all of you at the end of the predictions. Hi, Shama, welcome. Out of respect for your privacy, once I am done with the predictions, I will pause. Oh my goodness. I will pause the recording if you are asking a personal question. Your question, and I ask that everyone just have one question out of respect, one for each other and time.
Hi,
Okay?
Simone.
Hi, Simone. And if you are asking a question of a personal nature, I will pause the recording. If it is of a global or general question, if it's okay with you, I will continue recording. Okay, but I will pause it for personal questions. As I was working on these predictions for the past really week and a half, I went back and kept fine tuning because everything just kept happening so fast. I didn't want to talk about something that has already happened. So I had to keep going back and fine tuning it. And let me preface this by saying I do not the honor is in being able to share this with you, the messages that I sat with spirit and then with my own intuitive vision, of course, but spirit was a great aid in receiving these messages because I struggled with the vision of it in the sense of not wanting to see it. And those of you that understand the nature of this work understand clairvoyance. And so I did these a little differently. I did these in a little bit of an altered state and just recorded it. I'm going to share a message from Spirit for the group, if I may. Just a little nod.
Yes, please.
Carmen, I'm going to assume, AJ, Ray, Sham, I'm assuming you're all nodding. Okay, so thank you for sharing this time, your light and your heart with me today, and for finding the value in the service and my service for you with Spirit. The message from Spirit. This world is under a different kind of attack. Not one from another world or another universe, but from within itself. Human beings have managed to destroy many things, even the concept of healing one another on a global scale. Kindness seems to be the most foreign concept for many. We believe in the human spirit and the turnaround that can occur in the coming months. We ask that while we share these visions with you, all of you can hear this and witness this with an open heart and open mind. Let's start off with the lightest note. The lightest note is that of love. Love is who you are, period. Before being man, woman, and child, you are loved. And you are love. We ask that you carry this with you in the coming days, in the coming months, in the coming years. as it will be your guiding light and your source of peace. Okay, so we're just going to get right to it, okay? Out of the topics, the lightest topic, believe it or not, was COVID. So we'll start with that. Okay, it's pretty wild that that would be the lightest topic. Okay. Questions of COVID had lingered in the air for 2+ years and will continue to do so, as COVID is not a new virus, but an exploited virus. It will continue to dwindle its effects on the world, but like any illness, it can of course cause potential harm, in some cases death. After all, the human body was created with the intention of a temporary life. All alive will experience their own physical death in their time. We are here as a reminder that you as a spirit being do not die, nor will you suffer your physical life's loss or the pains in general once you do. It appears that many in their own way have grown accustomed to a fear-based lifestyle and that have forgotten the beauty of life and that which is to live. For one who lives in fear of mortality is already one that is not alive. Let us address the many deaths of COVID. There is no easy way for one to pass away. These lost souls had to transition at this time. These souls were needed, and thus necessary deaths occurred. Timing is only the nature of the human breed. Not animal or spirit utilize or live by the pressuring restraints of time. COVID was the first global threat to humanity during this time. Instead, the world working in unison, it chose sides. There were no rights or wrong sides to be on. There was only love, and many bypassed to live in fear and blame. Compassion and kindness were a missed lesson by many. All sides, however, faltered, but learning. One side took advantage of the power given to them, over the people, while the other turned a blind eye for the sake of monetary growth. None showed love, compassion, or kindness. None. What remains true for us is the remarkable human spirit and its will to survive. Humans are remarkable beings. They lust for a life filled with things, but we are here as a reminder that lust seeking is the actual act. Sorry. When I'm writing in this state, it's hard sometimes for me to read it. But we are here as a reminder that the lust one is seeking is in the actual, that the lust one is seeking is in the actual act of living a life. Does everybody understand that? Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't have to reiterate. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, let me just get a drink because it's so easy for me to slip back into that space as I'm reading and I start going into this void. Okay. A rich man and woman is free. Free from the material belongings, from time constraints and other rules. But there is a discipline to this life. The discipline is towards the self and those around them. The discipline of understanding oneself and how their lives do impact one another. In the way of COVID, each life did, in fact, affect the other. But nothing moves quicker than the energy from one person to the next. But the question was not of love or humanity. It was posed for the COVID virus. And the answer is simple. Yes, COVID remains on the roster of the many human conditions that one can be subjected to. It will lose its hold on society and fade in time, as did the flu and HIV. Lives will be lost, but also better understood by your medical professionals. Does anyone have questions regarding COVID? Does anyone have questions regarding the medical world? Okay. Global warfare. And when I was working on this, I did this one a couple times, all my rough drafts. Because it had to be refined yet honest. I'm just going to get into it. They fire, we fire back. Both fingers are on the ready. Many failed attempts to the US, but the red flag still remains flying high. The red flag, of course, my understanding is the Russian flag. We are under a constant threat from the outside and also from within. American bunkers are filled. The moment that the US intervenes, the world stands still. March through June are very heavy and both very active months. Cool minds are needed at this time. Russia becomes a threat to all Ukrainian borders, Poland especially. Let's see something here. Russia plummets through the Ukraine almost halfway through and still has eyes on the border. This was never a regional takeover rather than a full-on takeover of the Ukrainian society. And if they can go beyond that, they will. They will continue to move as far west as possible and as fast as possible. Mid-month, March, April, bring about more rage from Putin and some of the Russian people as they lose lives and do not fully understand what is going on. They are misinformed. It is the 11th hour that the Ukrainians saved, mostly by other Slavic nations as well. A lot of Slavic nations I saw rising to help them, which I understand to be Poland, and I don't know all the Slavic nations, to be quite honest, but I will. Oh, I was trying to get this so that I'm standing up, but I clearly don't know what I'm doing. Hi, Cassidy. But I don't know all of them. So I just kept going with what I heard was Slavic. There is continued hellfire. I saw a lot of pictures of even bodies on fire. More lives can be lost per square mile than any virus could have done. When Russia begins to attack Ukrainian borders, we must and will intervene. So my understanding is if they begin to attack Poland or another border, then all other nations then act on that.
Sorry, could folks mute themselves because it's hard to hear?
What?
Can folks mute themselves? Because it's hard to hear. the
Yes,
barking.
who's not muting? Who's not muted? There's a dog barking in the background. Is that better? Yes, that's better. Okay. I'll repeat that. There is a new continued hellfire. I saw a lot of pictures of like bodies and burned bodies. It was a lot of like fire. And it looks like it goes in all directions, not just one. It looks like it goes in many different directions and beyond even some Ukrainian, it goes beyond the Ukrainian borders, which helps me understand that this goes beyond the Ukraine and thus everybody else starts to get involved. Missiles rise from underground and are launched in 3 directions. Not all touch the ground, but some do. Many military camps are the target. And not just US cities, but global cities. Our grounds are never taken over, and I'm talking about the US grounds. But its effects and attacks are felt in our country, hurting our people, both near and far. And I'm saying that because we have military camps in all parts of the world, not just here. And I feel like those are even bigger targets. I see a lot of attacking mostly by air, not as much on the ground. And that is our threat. An air war. Everything is in the air amongst the stars. And it brought me back to, I don't know if some of you remember Star Wars, not the movie, but everything that had transpired when, what was it, the early
Reagan.
80s? Reagan, yes. June comes, and this feels like a lot of ceasefire happens. This feels like very fast, short and fast, but it's something that lasts a long time, the effects. July of this year through December of 2024 is when the healing of the human existence and the earth begins. All figureheads are replaced, not only in the US, but around the world. Everything looks like it just takes on this huge global transformation to me. It literally looks like a shield. Something just keeps going around the earth. I don't know how else to describe it, but I keep on seeing like this shield almost just circling the earth. And it, for me, my understanding was a new protection, a new way. There is no God creator love in war. This war is lack of love, therefore it's lack of greatness, lack of goodness, lack of God, for just a term. Families are forever broken from this. This is the new dark age, if not chosen wisely with precision, possibly the dark decade. And I say that because healing has to transpire in this time. When we're going through something personally, we have to walk through it, right, in order to come to healing. And we have to go through the ugly of things in order to have clarity and learn new ways. So my understanding is that we trip up a whole lot in the understanding of what that new way is. But it does happen. And as dark as this may be, light does come from this. And I want to be very clear that I say that and that you understand that. The time is short. The impact is hard, but many come out on the other side. And anytime something new is birthed, it hurts. Birthing hurts, right? On a physical level, on a global level. And when we're birthing a new era, many are going to suffer from it. The following years, we will regain and rebuild structures, economy, and humanity. We can feel the pains of this for about 100 years. It does not mean that we are not going to be okay for 100 years. What it means is that balance takes time. Does anybody have any question? Oh, I want to add this. There were questions about China getting involved and how does that work out? My understanding is that China sits back in the sidelines and I feel as though they wait, almost like the turtle, you know, it's not rushing towards anything. Let's see, where did she go?
Recording in progress.
My understanding is also it's not trying to be in competition with another figurehead. It's going to wait and see if they both come down so that it can then be the superpower. But China stays very steady in their place to me. I don't feel like they're trying to intervene. Almost, I feel as though they are strategically waiting for Russia to lose their power.
Nini,
Yes.
when you said missiles from underground.
Yeah.
And you talked about seeing a lot of burning. Do you think it's going to be nuclear?
That was my question too.
I do believe that there is going to be some nuclear attempts. And that was my understanding when I saw the whole Star Wars thing, but I understand that many's intercepted. That's why my understanding was that many did not touch the ground. However, it does affect our environment. So
Nini,
we don't fully escape everything. In a way, you know, perhaps there isn't as much mass destruction as it touching ground, but it does affect our atmosphere and the Earth's delicate state. But I did write about that. So, do I believe that any touched the ground? I do. Whether it's just parts of it, obviously I'm not a nuclear scientist and I don't understand the hey Ari. But when they're intercepting, it seems like things shatter, things come down, some do impact us, but it's not to the magnitude that's intended. So let's just say 4 go off. I feel like 1 out of 4 make it. But remember, the US is not the only target here. It's our concern because this is where we live, but the US is not the only target here.
No, I was thinking more in terms of long-term health
Yes.
effects.
yeah.
Long-term health, we can definitely discuss that, and we're going to be discussing that.
Nini,
So-
I just had a quick question. If it's Carmen.
Yes, Carmen.
And I agree with you that I don't think he's going to just stay in Ukraine. But when he goes beyond that, technically, wouldn't that put us in World War III? Because
That's
if he touches any NATO country, then it's
That's what I
on.
was that's what I was saying. Once he gets to the Polish borders and tries to attack the Polish borders, that's when everyone else intervenes. And that
Okay.
is what's going to happen. Also, my understanding is that's what he wants to happen.
Wow. Okay.
He is looking to get a reaction. He's looking to have us intervene, or any other, country in Europe, NATO country. His intention is not to stop at Ukraine. Ukraine is just kind of like along the way. Right? So,
Nini, this is Anjanette. I have a question.
yes.
Does that mean that we are because he's going, or he's looking to go outside of the borders that he's already in, does that mean that we collectively pull together to try to take him down, or will he stop, or will he go away, or is it just that we're going to continue to go through this for years to come?
So I do see him retracting. Here's the thing. I try to keep on seeing does it retract because he is defeated, his army is defeated, or because he himself is murdered? And that goes into a void space for me, which leads me to believe that perhaps Putin is killed. So, like I said, that's a void space, but in past practice, when I'm trying to understand if a lost person is still alive, a missing person is still alive, a void usually means someone is deceased. That's been my understanding. I don't think this is going to go on for years. I think the healing of this is going to go on for years, but I do not believe that this goes on for years. This is certainly not the Middle East. And I don't believe that anyone wants it to go on that. What happened in the Middle East has been going on way before we even got involved, and will continue to go on probably till the end of time, right? However, this is something entirely different. And I'm just gonna, as I'm talking, I'm hearing more, so I'm just gonna go with it. The world learned a lot from World War II, right? With Hitler, they learned a lot. So they're not going to have a do-over of that. The only problem is that we have weapons of mass destruction now, where back then they fought with guns and tanks and some bombs, but nothing to this caliber. So a war of a few years is going to come down, like I said, short, fast in terms of time comparison, but the impact lasts so much longer.
Just will Zelensky stay alive, the president of the Ukraine?
I keep on, so I have sat with that, and I keep on seeing, how Rocky reaches the top of the steps?
Mm-hmm.
I keep on seeing that. So where I can't decipher is it because he's carried through as a hero, or because he actually lives? I personally believe that he continues to live. He's very well guarded and protected. And Putin is undermining him. He doesn't really, the man is actually quite brilliant. And he is surrounded by some very, very intelligent people. You see, here's the thing. When I sit with Putin's mind state, it's almost a little outdated also. Zelensky actually has his finger on the pulse of many things for himself, where Putin has to be informed about what's happening on the pulse. So you're dealing with two very different people. One is a creative thinker, the other one is a narcissist. One is going to think outside of the box on how to keep things going, moving, and staying alive, where the other one is just kind of, he's just zeroing in with one vision. I also understand that people are saying, why aren't we doing this? Why aren't we doing that? But the understanding is that everything is being everybody's being very calculating right now. And that is the cool mind that is necessary. No one can just rush in. As heartbreaking as it is, it feels like the moment that happens, it could be 10 times worse than if we are calculating and how we move through this. I don't know anything about foreign policy. I'm just telling you what I understand, what's being downloaded. So, the human spirit sets a new way. One can focus on the current events and stay afraid of what is beyond their doing or control, or rejoice in knowing the worst will soon be behind them. Economy part 2. No currency remains the same. All global powers do fall and must rebuild. The US is no different. As I see stock exchanges globally plummeting, electric currency, which I believe is like Bitcoins and all that, they kind of remain almost in balance. And there is a new way coming about this. Financial balance for some. I also see like a lot of like ATMs becoming like almost like we can't use them. So my understanding is, one, either they become obsolete, or two, we won't be able to reach our money. But I see almost like ATMs disappearing. In closing, I think our grandmothers got it right by keeping some money underneath our beds. Does anybody have any questions on the economy? None? I can't, everybody's on mute. So Simone, did you have a question? You're not muted, Simone.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so it kind of almost sounds like there's like a reset, like a currency reset.
Mhm.
So is it that do you see the currency in terms of the US dollar, it rebuilds, or we start with a whole different new currency? You see that?
There is, my understanding is that there is another currency coming our way. I don't know what that means, Simone. You
Yeah.
know, all I see is that I hear like almost like electric money. So for me, that's, you know,
Fine.
e-coins and things of that nature. But the US dollar, like many others, look like they're just fading. And it looks like one currency. Does that make sense to you? I mean, you're in finance, so you understand, like, does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. I mean, the
But-
US dollar is pretty much, it's dead.
Yeah,
It's dying a slow death. So
right.
the question is, are they going to keep trying to pump it up like they've been doing and rebuild it? Or is it just going to reset, start over with a new currency? It sounds like you're saying.
They can't just start over,
Mhm.
because think about the 1% in the US, they depend on that, right?
Yes.
So my understanding is they try to heal that money train,
Mhm.
but the one that supersedes it is
Yeah.
the one that's going to be of a global language.
Not gonna work.
I almost keep on feeling like it falls like 50% to the dollar, 50% to the dollar.
Mhm.
But it's that electric, that e-coin that looks like it starts to grow.
Okay. And what about gold?
That's global.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Got to get me more gold.
Money under the mattress and gold. Yes.
There's just a new way. And these huge shifts, it's kind of like, let's simple it down to like our personal lives, right? When we're on a path that really is not for us. The universe keeps sending us signs to show us, hey, this is not for us. But we continue to move forward and try to defy all odds, right? But it's just not going to work out. So we don't hear the whispers until we have the storms. So we did not hear the whispers. We didn't even pay attention to the storms. And this is not a punishment, but rather than we have to stop somewhere.
So another question then, what about, does that mean that the balance between the rich and the poor, or the divide between the rich and the poor gets greater? And because there may be people who don't have access to the new currency or exchange, or maybe not even be aware of it or exposed to it. So if the dollar is basically going away, then that divide gets even greater. And so then that puts us in a position, or there's the perception that it puts us in a position of, the haves and the have-nots, and the have-nots are going to suffer even more.
You're right. However, I'm just trying to find that because I actually did have a message for that. You're entering a time where neighbors become more neighborly. Money no longer becomes the ruling factor. The human spirit sets a new way of living. It brought me back to almost like before money was created, there was the barter system, right? And that is part of the human spirit that says, you need something I have, I need something you have. This is a fair exchange. I'm not saying that money becomes obsolete, because listen, it's just not going to happen. But there is a new way that I've never seen, that you've never seen, and that everyone has to be a part of recreating. I am not privy to know how exactly that's going to happen. But what I can tell you is that I saw a lot of hand exchanges going on. When the human ego exists, There will always be somebody who wants to help and is moving from the heart, and somebody who wants to be ahead and moving with their own agenda. Because we are fear-based creatures, and we are nervous of what that looks like. And no one wants to be without. So there are mindsets. We can do this together and grow, or I'm just going to do this on my own and see how far I can get. And we all know how that looks. We cannot worry about what someone else is going to do, rather than how we can create that change that we need to continue to survive, but also create the positive change. Because whether or not we like it, we're all part of the undoing in our own way, shape, or form. That's a big pill to swallow when we're all just trying to survive, right? We're all just trying to do the right thing and survive. And I don't believe that most people come from a place of malice, but more so what they know. You can't fault somebody for something they don't know, but that's what life is about. It's about learning and unlearning and recreating. There will always be, even amongst animals, there are divides, right? In the animal world. The runt is not loved, but there's nothing wrong with the runt. So if it is a money class thing, my understanding is that this is the time where there's a little bit more balance to create an opportunity, because it's not just about the have and the have-nots. If I have a tomato and you have lettuce, let's make a salad. Or you can just have a lettuce salad and I'll just have a tomato salad, and both of us are missing out.
This is much more long-term though, right?
Yeah. The money starts to, it takes a little while to balance out. Not 100 years, but probably about a good 15 to 18 months to sort itself out. But I also don't believe that that's anything new, right? Whenever there is some sort of war or something, these things happen. The only difference is it's not going to hold the same weight. Also, neither does the US. The US does not hold the same weight that it used to. I saw this years ago. I still continue to see it now. We will need more outside aid than ever financially. I don't feel that we can continue to go to China, as wild as it is that we even go there for financial help. Years ago, I saw England. I sat with that again. I still continue to see England. And I can't explain that much further. The Earth cannot just absorb a nuclear war, even if it is in the stars. Natural reactions occur when pain is felt. There is always a response by us. The Earth is the same. The biosystems are way too delicate to withstand multiple bombs at this time. Water seems to be severely affected, both water and land and in sea, and that looks like it's from rain and from below. Middle grounds to be appear to be much safer for some reason, like more safer than our coastal regions. It really wild. I keep on seeing almost like very mountainous ranges, almost like Montana or like Wisconsin, or even where the Grand Canyon is. The South Pacific seems to sees a lot of storms and temperature changes. I just see a lot of crazy like hurricanes and things happening here. Everything, the biosystems around it also look like it's changing. Northeastern temperatures continue to be unseasonal and it's changing. I almost see like an 80-degree day in January here. I know I don't hang around much in the winter, but I don't think we're having 80-degree days up here in January yet. Just want to make sure that I got everything.
Nini,
Yes.
did you say for the personal question, just message you and or ask later? Like
Yeah,
message you for later or
Yeah,
ask
we're
later?
gonna ask. Yeah, we're gonna ask later. I wanted to show you guys like what I kept on seeing, like where it felt safest. So this would be Florida, Texas, California. This is the East Coast. This is the West Coast. And the bigger round spots seem like almost like the safest, like a void. They're not only targeting US, but mostly a lot of European cities. The earth is shaken, and I keep on hearing hot rain. Hot rain. So I'm assuming that's something from the atmosphere. One bomb is bad enough, but two bombs, it doesn't just stay, right? Because the wind carries. Things get carried along, right? Like those sandstorms from Africa, they made their way around the globe, didn't they? Right, because it just carries. So I keep on hearing hot rain. That's just a response. Now, I had to stop last night because I just I was getting a little sick. I saw a lot of babies that needed homes, and that was kind of like I had to tap out after that. But there was a lot of babies that needed homes that had no names. Now, I'm not sure how that affects us, but I saw it, so I'm sharing it. It seems to be a lot of parentless children.
Did you mean like in Ukraine, Nini, you think? And would that give us an opportunity to maybe adopt if we wanted to?
Yeah. Yeah, and beyond. And beyond. Coast to coast will feel like a rumble is what I understood. This is the month of severe impact. Also, coast to coast will feel like a rumble from this light storm. We cannot tell you the date for this foreseeable human event. We cannot alter time or space. Only the human breed can. To lift this veil, one must come to a change. All must learn and change. This planet has never known peace over its greed. It's an unfortunate lesson to be learned by all. This loss can be in the millions or close. It is then that there will be a choice if the red star joins the gold star. I'm not sure what all that means, but it's not for me to dissect. In the foreseeable future, I don't see him stopping. Us pushing back is very likely. When I did the predictions earlier on this year, remember, I don't know if I spoke to some of you, but I was like, I don't know if I want to do them. I don't know if I want to do them. I don't know if I want to share them. Because it felt like what I came with in December or early January, I don't remember when I did it. It wasn't bringing much hope. But this was it. The hope that we have to offer is what we can bring to the table, each and every one of us. That comes with energy. That is our personal responsibility to ourselves and our world around us. And when I say that, I mean like within your home and those that you connect with. That vibration carries on. And there's, whether it's 10 people or 100 people, you guys are in control of your own sense of awareness and actions. And what is your hope moving forward? What did I do with this information? Well, one, I ordered myself a burner to cook. Two, I'm not leaving. This is where I live. This is my community. How can we prepare? I don't know. I've never been in this position, right? I guess we can research. We can see what we would have to do. So my intention is just to continue to hopefully in however I can provide hope and share my energy and love and space. Because as I said in my post yesterday, where there's room for one, there's room for 100. And I have plenty of room in my heart and in my life. And if you're afraid, that's normal. I think that's absolutely understandable. And I don't like to share anything that feels fear-based, but I believe that my messages come from a place of love and awareness. And so I moved forward with them because I truly struggled with whether or not I wanted to do this. And I also understood that everyone couldn't handle this conversation. be in your corner of your earth and live your life. And we can pray that the powers that be make better choices, and this isn't someone's free will act, and we could be spared of it. But I read energy and the trajectory of that energy. And with that being said, we understand that energy can shift at any time if better choices are made. And so I'm putting a lot of my faith in the better choice. And that is just opposite of everything. I mean, we're a small group, but I know that people around the world are having the same prayer. Does anybody have any questions on this? And then we can go to your one personal question each.
I do. This is Ari.
Hi, honey.
So my question is from,
Wait, Ari, I just want to say I miss your face. I miss you.
one day I'm gonna meet you in person.
I know, girl.
I know it's been a long time.
Talk to me. What's your question, honey?
From an economic standpoint, how will us here in the United States behave as Ukraine and Russia are fighting it over? And what I mean by that is, I understand gas prices are going up. You already mentioned that, matter of fact, 2 years ago, right?
Yep.
But how are we going to behave? Because remember, when the COVID hit, people was fighting over toilet paper. So what is going to be the mental state collectively of us?
You have two parts. There's two ways to answer this question. One, I saw a lot of people being neighborly, and it brought me back to a picture of 9/11 when people were really trying to be neighborly and helpful towards one another.
Good.
Right? That is the authentic human nature, right? Because we go deep within, and we are, believe it or not, compassionate people. But there will always be others who are not. And that is because they're afraid that they won't survive or what have you. But
Yeah,
what
because
my understanding was neighborly. I kept on hearing that word.
the flip side of 9/11 was the racism and discrimination that came out.
Mhm.
So it seems like it's always two-sided.
That's true.
This is unfortunately the world that we live in. And as much as we would love to see like some sort of utopian society, I don't believe that we ever will. We would literally have to all fall off the face of the earth and start all over again. With the one person that was their thought, and this is the only way to be. We can put our energy into focusing on the people that want to divide or the people that want to be neighborly and unify.
But it does feel like we dropped one vibrational level.
One, we have dropped like 50.
Okay. All right. I know there's many, but yeah.
Yes, girl, we have dropped like, we may be living somewhere between earth and chaos at this point.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
How it feels. And it looks like that's, like you said, that is our world that we're in today. You gotta do things a little bit, it still be, my thing is I'm always happy no matter what I'm going through, but you still have to operate a little bit differently than what you did before.
absolutely. Absolutely. I think that we just have to be a little bit more careful. Life doesn't feel like it's going to be as readily available to us. Like we won't just be able to, hey, let me just get on a plane and run over, this place for the weekend. Like a lot of these luxury seems to shift for me, where a luxury is being able to go out and buy a Rolex watch or a Mercedes or that McMansion type home. The new luxury is being able to have like community and food and friendships. And I just keep on seeing communities coming a little closer together. The luxury truly is to be alive. Yes.
Sorry, that it's Carmen. From what you're saying, is that more like are you seeing like a kind of economic depression then, like a global economic depression?
Yeah, that's exactly what I said before.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I said, oh yeah, absolutely. That was like one of the first things that I said. Global market crash.
Okay, sorry, I must have missed that. Thank you.
Oh, that's okay, honey. That's okay. So I guess we get to choose which side of history you want to be on. Any other questions on all this or just global questions?
On the flip side of that, Nini, next time you go to Florida, let me know so I can catch a flight. I'm just throwing that out there.
Oh, you want to come crash my pad?
Yep. Okay, continue.
All right. So if everybody's questions outside of this is going to be personal, then I'm going to stop the recording.
I just have one question before we move to personal.
Yep.
Do you feel, because when you were talking about how with the nuclear aspect and then how things can change, right? There's always a chance that things can change. Do you feel that bit of hope in there? Because when you were telling us the predictions, I was kind of feeling that, like, if Zelensky like takes a rug out from under his feet, Putin's feet, then we're good. Almost like everyone is waking up where the threat of a nuclear attack is enough to awaken the population. Like, okay, we need to send our good energy out there.
You would think so,
down.
right? You would think that would in the public. However, a lot of people are going to rage and fury. And again, being divisive and, pointing fingers and listen, this is one person wanting to take over a sovereignty and from there taking over as many other countries. We've seen this happen before.
Yeah.
We've seen this happen. The only difference is I don't believe it will go on as long as it did before. That's why I feel like it's, even though, the months are 30 days each, it feels like in terms of time, it's shorter, but the impact is larger. And that's not to take away from any past wars or lives lost. This is just a different time. And a weapon of mass destruction can kill a lot more people in this day and age than it did, 60, 70, 80 years ago. I always have hope.
Yeah.
I always pray that we end up better. And, sometimes it's not the way we want it to happen, but I also have profound faith and trust in the process that is divinely guided. And I know it doesn't sound like it's divinely guided, but maybe something this horrific has to happen for us to get it right. And that's scary too. I'm not saying I want that to happen, but I am saying I trust the divine. We have
I was going to say, I feel like this is almost a unifying thing. We've been so divided in this country and stuff, and it's almost like, with some exceptions, we can all get on board with a common enemy now.
Yeah, I mean, we can. You're right. I just pray that other people can see it the same way also, because it's scary. You know, when someone's not only life, but their livelihood is threatened, it's hard to see past that. You know, we lost a lot of people, yes, to COVID, but also when people lost their jobs and their money, they went into depression, and a lot of suicide happened also. The universe will always reset itself. The earth will always reset itself. I'm a firm believer that there are two things that are absolute: the day that we're born and the day that we pass, with some exceptions of some lives having exit plans. But that's me. I could surrender to that and say, listen, as much as I want to go on, if it's my time, I embrace my time and hope that what I leave behind lasts forever. My words, my healing, and goes from one generation to the next, right? But that's just whatever. We're a blip. The earth will always continue, but we're a blip. And so does our soul. That gives me peace. If our souls didn't continue, I would not have a career. I would not. But at any rate, let me get to your questions.
One more question.
Yes.
One more question about, speaking of division. And so it still feels to me like there is this separation between people who choose to be vaccinated, people who choose not to be vaccinated. There's still this separation there. Is that going to continue? Is it going to relax? Is it going to, what do you see happening with that?
So my understanding, to be honest with you, Simone, is that I almost feel like everything falls to the wayside
With the war.
with the war, and vaccines become almost as optional as the flu
Yeah. Okay.
vaccine. And we all take a risk of running into a place and we can have flu A, B, or C,
Yeah.
right? Just like we can get COVID 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
And some of us don't do the flu well. Some of us, and this is all respect to those who have gotten sick, you know, and especially those who have transitioned. But it almost feels like it's churning.
Mhm.
So as things churn, they become softer. And one of the things that I do remember hearing, and I have it written here, is that it is lost, almost like with this war, COVID has lost its grip.
Yeah.
And that was when I had mentioned, I don't know if you heard me, because I know you were just a few minutes late, I think.
Yeah. I missed it.
But a lot of governments, not just the US government, a lot of governments use the power over their people, and they were neglectful in that way, while others were neglectful in the ways of disregarding their people.
Sure.
In terms of the vaccine, it feels like it kind of rolls all into the whole mindset of COVID.
Mhm.
And it will be on an individual, on how important that will be to you, thus putting it in the same category as a free will choice.
Yeah.
You know, and that could be controversial for the next 50 years, because we have lived through that.
Yeah.
But the generation that was just born, they're not going to have the same worry about it.
Okay.
Right? Like those who are 2, 3, 4 years old now, like they're not going to say, you better get your COVID shot, because it's not going to have the same impact on their lives. Just like many of us aren't going around saying, whoa, we got to go get our flu shot. You know, I'll be honest, I'm guilty of it. I'm just not one of those people who are running for a flu shot. And that's okay. That's a choice that I make. But I also am acknowledging that I'm leaving myself open to getting the flu, right? So it kind of feels like it falls under that same umbrella to me. It just doesn't have the same control, the
Right.
same power.
Okay.
And I'm not here to say that's a good thing or a bad thing. I'm just answering. Yeah. Any other questions?
I'm just to roll off of that. Do you see that also loosening the travel bans, or restrictions on whether you're vaccinated or unvaccinated?
So here's my understanding. I feel as though there's going to be travel bans anyway right now. I feel as though a lot of history is destroyed.
Hmm.
So one of the things that I saw the other day, I did sit with travel, and I think I actually might have said this online. There looks like there's a lot of barriers put up.
Hmm.
I don't see anyone really wanting to travel while this is all happening. There's too many variables. I know I personally canceled all my trips for this summer going to Europe, because who's risking that, right? I'm not risking that. This looks like a hard stop for me. I don't see anyone coming in or going out during this time. Everything feels like it stands still. The minute we intervene, everything stands still.
Nini, so are you saying it's potentially dangerous to travel in this
Climate?
time?
Yeah. I know you like to
Yeah.
travel as much as I do, Carmen. And it pains me to say it, but we have to put our hot feet down.
Did you get like I think you mentioned it earlier, but almost a time frame that's short-lived?
I saw March to June.
For travel bans, essentially.
For it to almost feel like peaking.
Okay.
Travel period or travel internationally?
I want to say internationally. Here's the thing. I mean, with so many variables, so many unknowns still lingering, like, I can only speak for myself. I don't feel comfortable being so far away from my primary home. I'm not going to just never do anything again, but I'm not ready to be jumping back on a plane and going to Florida, Puerto Rico, to Spain. I feel like right now the time is for us to kind of get our surroundings right.
Okay, so you're not messing with Florida either right now?
No,
Wow. Okay.
I am home in Jersey and I'm keeping my butt still. They were like, my mom's like, let's go to Aruba. I said, no way. Not that I mind being stuck in Aruba, but no. Not happening. I'm staying right here for the foreseeable future. I canceled all travel plans for the next 6 months.
I get stuck in Florida next week. Your family's taking me in.
Nice. They will too. Tell them you can sleep in my bed.
Hey, wait a minute. I'm supposed to be in Florida next week too.
I mean, it's a big enough bed.
Okay.
In April, so if I get stuck in Turks and Caicos, it's okay. I'll swim back.
Yeah, I won't feel bad for you. All right, guys, let's get this moving right along. I'm going to pause this now because I don't want to record your personal questions, okay?